Well, hello YouTube and welcome back. Today we will be doing a video tutorial on Adobe After Effects for 3D motion tracking. So basically it's this kind of thing where you can have an object in 3D space stick to your floor or wall or whatever you want for that particular shot. And it's very nice, and I've recently gotten the hang of it, and yeah, as you can see, it definitely works. And it's quite easy once you figure it out. It took me a while to actually figure it out, but because there are quite a few things you do have to take into consideration when doing this. Now, we'll be using the one of the best inside out of After Effects camera trackers. It is the Foundry's Cameratracker. If you have a After Effects CS6, you don't really need to get this plugin because it's a camera tracker in 3D space is already built into the program. But I do not have it. I'm still with CS4. So this is what we will be working with, except we're going to work on a different clip. Let's work on this. So basically all you have to do, you get your clip, and I didn't do this for any of my clips, but one thing that definitely helps, let's just move this to a third so it moves around quicker. But yeah, one of the things that definitely does help with your whole 3D camera tracking, it'll make it easier, faster, and it'll a heck of a lot better looking, is if you have 3D track points already set up. I didn't do this, but if I was to like put a a poker chip or something on one of the logs, or if it's a wide shot, put down a playing card or something like that, something that sticks out from the background quite a bit, and the more of them the better, but still isn't something that's too big. It helps the camera tracker get accurate tracks. So let's drop this in, and it's just like the 2D tracker in After Effects. It takes a track point and it tries its best to follow along, and it'll except for this, it does a whole bunch of them. Now the base track points are 150, but you can change this number to some like ridiculous number that's unnecessary. I'm only shooting in 1080p, and that's about all I need, so 150 works more than fine. And basically all you have to do, put the effect on. You can put on preview features. That's where we get all these little X's. These show what are going to be tracked. Then hit track features. Now it is going to track forward and then backwards, so it can determine, okay, this is a more effective track point than this. I'll cut this out, and it'll try to use all the points to figure out how the scene looks and how the whole thing is going to be put together, how the camera must have moved in that situation. This is also meant for static scenes, which means there are no moving characters within them. So if you have a moving character, you might want to just mask them out. Just a garbage mask will do. Or if you have Buju is very good at getting rid of basically stuff like that. So anyway, this is going to take a while, so I'm going to pause recording and come back once it is finished. So this whole thing is starting to wrap up here. Oh, sorry, just checking the audio. This thing is starting to wrap up, and now it is finished. It has tracked all these little points. Thankfully, wood is a very defined substance, at least in this case, so it tracked quite well. Now let's check. When you hit solve camera, it'll do this, which is basically it figures out, okay, where is the camera and what does the scene look like. and then it will give you this information, 3.66 pixels. Usually you want to keep this number down here as much as possible, seeing as it is the error. 3.66 is actually not super good, but as long as you can keep it under 4 in 1080p, you should be about good. So let's hit OK. It'll do stuff there. Then hit Create Scene. And now we will have this. It will create a 3D null as well as a camera that moves around in 3D space along with the scene. Now, if we want to put something in that scene, we can, as long as it is a 3D layer. I'll show you how too. Let's see. Let's just put Taz Olsen Productions. Now, shut up, Avast. Anyway, let's put this into 3D space. As you can see, it moved here. Moved a little bit out of frame, but not a big deal. Move it back into frame. Rotate it a bit. I also have it centered so that it, it's a lot more simple to move around and stuff. Let's scale this down. Now let's see how this plays throughout the entire clip. Okay, it's a bit too far back in 3D space. Okay, yeah, seeing as I did a clip where it eventually turns to the side, that's great because it'll actually show how far back it is in 3D space. But you don't have to do that. You can play around with it a little bit and eventually get the hang of it. It's not a long-lasting. It's not an effect that takes forever to do. To would appear this is a little too low. Let's move it on the x-axis a bit. Y. There, that's starting to stick a lot more to where I put it. As we can see here, unfortunately my shadow here kind of got in the way a little bit, but that's not a huge deal. And now, as you can see, it sticks almost perfectly to it. And if you see any really big jumps, you can always mess around with that a little bit, fix it up, but for the main part, that's all we really need. Now I'm going to show you a couple little 3D tricks that we could put in. Seeing as we have a text layer here, what if, say, we want it to be 3D looking-ish? Really quick and easy way to make a 3D flat text layer into make it look like it's actually 3D and extruded and everything without doing a whole lot of work. Just hit Control D or duplicate that layer. Bottom layer, move it back on the Z's in Z space or Z space, whichever you say. Just a little bit, not very much. That was wrong. And either change, seeing as I have this set to white, I could invert it, or I could just turn it to black, and suddenly it looks, kind of 3D. I think I might have moved it back a little too far. Seeing as this clip does go all the way to the side, if you have it out too far, you're going to see a little inconsistency here. But for most shots, this is going to work just fine. It's going to look kind of 3D-ish. And to add a little bit more, you can even go to the top layer, layer styles, and then let's go to bevel and emboss, and suddenly we'll let it load, and it'll bump out just a little bit more, and it'll look pretty darn cool. Yeah, see, there we go. Sticks out a little bit more. Turn off bevel and emboss on. Looks a little bit cooler, a little bit more 3D. It's got some shadow. You could also mess around with a few more layer styles. Let's say layer styles. Drop shadow could give it a little bit more 3D, maybe. And already we have some pretty decent looking 3D text. Now another thing we could do, we could go File, Import, and we could get a 3D block type thing. Let's remove this random sidewalk support group thing, and let's make a 3D layer out of this. Now actually, now let's turn off the camera. And let's reset all this crap. Let's turn that off so we're not really working in any big issue. Now let's duplicate this a whole bunch of times so we have 6 total. There should be 6 there, yep. Now let's go to top view. Let's open up on all of them. So, you know, select them all, or shift or hit one. Select one, hit shift, select the end of the line, and hit A, and then shift R, and that should be all we really need for now. We're going to work with one at a time, seeing as this particular one is approximately 150 by 150 or 75 in each direction. Anchor point, we can let's see, on the Z-axis, let's set this to 75, and let's go to the one on the bottom, because that will be the opposite, I'm thinking. Negative 75, although seeing as they're in 3D space, it doesn't really matter. Go negative 75 on that, so now they are the exact opposite length from each other. Now on this one, let's go 0 here, and for the ZY rotation, or let's go 90, because we're making an actual cube. Oh, set this back to 75. And again, the anchor point will be switched to 75. Another one, also set the Y rotation to 90. And then go to negative 75, and basically we're, as you can see, we're already making like a squarish thing. Now to the back. Look at it from the right. Turn those off, just so it gets a little bit easier. Now for this, let's see here. Let's turn it on the X rotation. Turn that 90 degrees, and then 75. Offset the anchor point by 75. 90 and a negative 75. So it's all the same functions basically. Turn these 2 layers back on. Now we can basically close these layers up, because they're taken care of. Now we, as you can see, we basically have a box, and to make it, and the reason we move the anchor point instead of the position, because one, it's a lot more easy with the functions, and 2, it's a lot easier to move the entire thing at once. Now I could just select them all, move it around perfectly fine. That gets a little annoying after a while. So I'm going to find which one I'm going to set as the front. Yeah, that'll work. So I'm going to parent them all to that. So I'm going to parent them all to the first quest block. And then now I just have to move this, and they will all move with it. And that is it's a really great way. Something's not working. Let me check this. What is that doing parented? I don't know. There we go. Sorry, for some reason the null objects somehow got parented to it, so that kind of screwed things up. But now this will work in 3D space. We created a 3D cube within After Effects, because After Effects you can still do a bit of modeling even though it's not a proper 3D program. Although if you have like Element 3D, it's like, whoa! Mind blown. Anyway, we can do that. Let's see if that's low enough on the x-axis. Okay, that's not quite where I need it to be. Alright, hopefully that is... And basically we gotta mess around with this until we find where the actual position would be in 3D space, because unfortunately this isn't Buju, it's not as well featured as that. Okay, I think that's too low actually. You know what, I'm going to go hit P on this, copy this position, and paste it to the quest block. Move it down from there. Now let's see if it's sticking. It looks like it's sticking pretty darn well there. I'm getting pretty satisfied with it. Maybe a little bit more down, I'm thinking, or a little more up. Yeah, a little more up, and yeah, I guess we got a little bit more messing around to do, but we're getting pretty close to having this track completely. Okay, I think that's just about perfect. It seems to be staying there. Now we could also mess around with the camera itself and set the whole depth of field crap and the lighting, you know. Hey, we want lighting? Okay, layer, new, light. Spotlight, sure. Intensity, 200%, sure. Now let's go to the top just to make things simpler. Move it around. We know where our cube is in 3D space. It would appear that that is a little bit, sorry about that, a little bit too precise of a light source, because it really only does a little bit. So we're going to have to change the cone angle, make that, let's try 50-ish. Let's go back to the top view, because this way we can actually check where things are a little bit easier. Light one. Let's see, cone feather, cast shadows, that, yeah, whatever. And bump up the angle a little bit, maybe. Actually, I got a better idea. It's again just copy the position, because then we get a relevant positioning. Then we can find, okay, where must the sun be? So we got to figure out, okay, what do we know about the scene? And okay, it would appear the shadows are moving sort of this way, so a little far back here. Okay, that was way too far. About there looks about good.